Surprise! Yes, this is FM23. We do have early access. We've been lucky enough to be able to test out the alpha version of FM23. So in today's video, we are going to be having a first look at the new tactical instructions, but also, well, we've been promised that a low block is more effective. So, we'll be checking that out. And then lastly, just to look at some results and stuff, we are going to be looking at some new data in the data hub. Interesting. Let me know in the comment section, what are you most excited for? Is it a new feature? Is it a certain team you just cannot wait to manage in FM23? Let me know in the comment section below. Yes, people, welcome back. FM23 is near. It's very close. I'm very excited. But today we do have the alpha version, which you can see at the bottom left of today's screen. Tactics takes charge at Burnley. We are managing Burnley. One reason being is that Championship, of course, is a licensed league in Football Manager. So we are going to be using a licensed league for the purpose of this video. And the first thing we are going to do today is go to the tactic creating screen. So here we are at the tactics screen. Not much has changed, but when we do go to fluid counter-attack and look at the out of possession instructions, we have noticed some things are worded differently, especially low block. We do now see the low block, which is kind of easier for a lot of us to understand when creating our tactics. So let's whip up this fluid counter-attacking tactic. This is a 4-3-3 fluid counter-attacking tactic in Football Manager. It's a preset, and the reason why we're using a preset is just so we can get an idea of how to use a low block ourselves, and what better way is there to use a preset. So the first thing we are going to do, because we're not going to go through every instruction, we do want to look at what is new in Football Manager 2023. So first of all, let's go out of possession, and you will have noticed now we can change the line of engagement from a low block to a mid block to a high block. Now this makes life much easier when it comes to creating tactics. We understand it better, but especially if you are recreating tactics like I do, and we want to recreate a tactic that uses a high block previously, you can go for a higher line of engagement or a much higher line of engagement, which it doesn't really help us because we don't know which one to choose. Now things are much simpler. We could just go for the low block, we can go for the mid block, and then we can go for the high press. And with your defensive line, well, you can change it like you could do before, from much lower to lower, medium or standard, higher, and then there is much higher. So things now are more understandable, which is what you want. You want to have full control over your tactics. You want to know exactly what everything means. And I think Football Manager has done well this year in rewording some things, especially when it comes to the line of engagement. Now let's move over to the right hand side, and you will have noted the defensive line, things have changed. There's no more offside trap, so you can't select or remove offside trap, and also defensive width has been removed because they have reworded it and they have done some things differently. So now defensive line, if you want to kind of use that offside trap, you can just hold your defensive line, and what you're kind of doing is instructing your defensive line to step up and just operate in line, which what you would want from an offside trap. And then you have the option to drop deeper. So if you're under pressure or the opponent is attacking you, you can actually instruct your defensive line just to drop deeper. And what that will do is kind of create space in front of your defensive line, which kind of helps in our low block tactic because we do have a defensive midfielder on defense. So we do have protection in front of that defensive line. I'm giving you some tips here. If you are using drop deeper, you will want to have protection in front of that back line because dropping deeper, you are creating space between your midfield and your defense. And then using a whole defensive line, you would kind of use this in a tactic where you're pressing high, you've got a highish defensive line, and that will be the way to apply your offside trap. Pressing trap, this has changed. Before you can force on the outside or you can force in the inside, but again, some people may not exactly know what you are instructing your team to do. So the pressing trap isn't actually in your defensive third. This is more the midfield third and the attacking third, and this is where you start to trap the opposition. You can force them on the outside, away from goal. Now you're forcing them more towards that touchline, and it's obviously easier for you to defend against and harder for them to attack. There's going to be less options for them. Or you can trap them on the inside, where if you do trap them on the inside and you win the ball, you can create a very good counter-attacking opportunity. So if you're kind of focused on that narrow attacking shape, that narrow counter-attacking shape as well, you may actually want to trap the opponents on the inside. Just make sure you have a lot of bodies in the inside as well. And then when you're forcing out opposition on the outside, this is more if you want the ball away from goal, away from those central areas. And then lastly, the cross engagement. So this is kind of your defensive width in the defensive third. Now you can stop crosses, and this will more likely instruct your team to defend wider because you want to engage with that cross, so you're going to stretch your defensive line. Or you can invite the cross where you're defending more narrow. You're just going to let those crosses come in and allow your defenders to head the ball out. So invite crosses, you are instructing your team to defend narrowly, and stop crosses, you are kind of stretching and opening your defense line to engage in that crosser and stop those balls from coming inside the box. So those are the new things inside the tactic creator. That is the new stuff that Football Manager have done, and to be honest, thumbs up. Thumbs up. I really like this, especially the high press as well. Things are just easier for people to understand, especially for me, someone that likes to create tactics and share them. It's easier for me to understand, or easier for me to explain, that why a tactic is in a high press, in a mid block, or a lower block, rather than before it was why is your tactic in a higher defensive line or a much higher defensive line, which is still a higher block, but it's just more difficult to break things down and more difficult to understand. So that there is the new stuff, but we're also going to have a look at a low block tactic that I have created. Well, I say I've created it, I've actually just tweaked the preset. So if we flick between the two, you will notice not much has changed, just some role changes, even the instructions as well. Some of them have changed, some of them haven't. The passing directness now on standard, tempo and higher. Creative freedom being more expressive where that wasn't there before. In transition, everything is the exact same, but for out of possession, you can see we are now operating in a low block, and we are also going to be get stuck in. Drop deeper, the reason why I removed it for this tactic is because my defensive midfielder isn't on defend. Now he can just wander off. Now if he wanders off and he's not protecting that defensive line and we're dropping deeper, that space has been created, that gap, and we can be exploited, which we don't want to happen, especially in a low block, especially. So this is the tactic, my very first FM23 tactic, which is a low block. Very exciting. And now we're going to look at the results, but we're also going to work out if this has been working or not. So I did choose Burnley on purpose, mainly because they are a very good team in the championship, and I just wanted the easy ride. I wanted the easy ride, I must admit. And now if we do look at the season, or so far in the season, because we only played to January, we haven't completed the full season. I don't believe Football Manager would have appreciated that. So we have played 26 games, near enough halfway through the season. We've won 21, we've drawn 3 and we've lost 2. So a low block looks like it's very effective. The 2 games that we lost, we did lose 1-0 in each of those games, and the 3 games that we drew, well, all 3 of those games ended in 0-0. Though we're not on the data hub screen just yet, what I have noticed, which is new, is the opposition passes per defensive action, PPDA. We can finally measure the presses in this game, and you can see that Burnley are currently 22nd because we're not pressing. We're not a high pressing team at all. So our PPDA should be quite high, which means the opposition passes. So if they're playing 4 passes, 5 passes in Football Manager is quite high. That means our press is quite reserved. And when we go to the top of the list, Luton, surprisingly, only allowed 2.85 passes before they make their defensive action. So Luton are pressing quite high and quite intensely. But Burnley, on the other hand, we're sitting quite deep. And only when our low block has been breached is when our trigger press is activated. That isn't the only new thing in the screen here. You can also see final third passes against. Norwich have the fewest, Burnley in a good position in third, considering we're operating in a low block and we're not allowing a lot of final third passes. To me, I think this low block is being effective so far. But let's look at the data hub. What's new in the data hub? So this is the data hub and things are looking quite similar, but there are some minor tweaks and changes. If I select edit and select all visuals, finally, all my things are just in one place. It's easier now just to add that XG table or that goal output or that crossing or that attacking efficiency. Things have now been made much simpler for you when you're operating or just in this data hub screen, operating in the data hub screen. But also we do have pitch tilt. What does pitch tilt measure? So on the left hand side, we do have final third passes against, and then at the bottom, we do have final third passes for. Burnley, we're not completing a lot of final third passes, but also we're not allowing a lot of final third passes. We're kind of middle of the road in the pitch tilt. And also we can see the passing dynamics. Passes completed against on the left hand side, and then at the bottom you do have passes completed. We're not completing a lot of passes. We're not a possession-based side. We're not even using shorter passing. And then for the passes completed against us, I mean, we are allowing some passes again because we are operating in a low block. So this is actually where we want to see Burnley. Now, if this is below the average, it possibly means we are not operating in a low block whatsoever. So it's nice to see that we are allowing passes against, because that is also part of the tactic. And it's also nice to know that they are not being effective with those passes because our low block is effective enough to stop any scoring chances. Looking at the defensive actions, even though we are making far fewer defensive actions than average, we made most of our defensive actions around our own penalty area. And yeah, we are allowing that pressure. Again, this is exactly what we want to see. And possession gains, where we won the ball, we gained most possession just before the halfway line. So in our own area, again, low block. This is exactly what you want to see from a low block. But I'm going to be cheeky and we're going to go into a game. We're not going to play a game. We're just going to get into a game. And again, just to look at this low block in a match situation. So I have chosen a good game here. It was Sheffield United away, also a very good team in the championship. And well, it was quite easy for us. We won 4-1. We had 21 shots to the 7. Ashley Barnes grabbing a double, Charlie Taylor scoring, and also Brownhill, but we don't necessarily care about that. What we do care about is how our team is operating in that low block. Looking at the average possession with the ball, we are quite positive. I mean, our whole defense line is still in our own half. Our defensive midfielder is just on that halfway line, but then we do have our attacking 5 doing their business in the attacking third and the mid third. But when we do look at the average possession without the ball, you can see the team have dropped ever so slightly. You can see now our 2 CMs are operating in our own half, along with our DM, our whole back line still defending in their own half, but now moving towards the defensive third. And then in the mid third, you can see Ashley Barnes just on top of that halfway line circle, and then the 2 wingers on either side of him, just above, just ahead of that halfway line. There is also something that's interesting in this game. If we go to movement, we can also have a movement map where we can kind of see the movement of the team as the game is happening. Now, what I'm going to do, because I know this was early in the game, we had kickoff and we was basically on the front foot early on in the game. But if we shift this to kind of the 5th minute of the game, oh, here we are. You can start to see now our team are dropping. And here we're now operating in that low block. You can see the whole team working hard in their own area. Wow. Look at our low block goal. Look at our low block goal. This is beautiful. And cheekily, to end this video, let's have a look at the goals in this game. Taylor is about to whip this in. Nice at the far post. Ashley Barnes heads it in 1-0. Now for the second goal. Here is Taylor out on that left flank. He's going to bring the ball inside the box. He whips it. Oh, Barnes takes it, rounds the goalkeeper and slots it in. Nice goal. Now for the third goal, Barnes is breaking away. Barnes, Ashley Barnes, out of all people. He holds up the ball, plays it to Nathan Teller. He whips it in. Taylor, the left back, gets inside the box because he's on that attacking duty. And oh, another header. It's another one. But here is Sheffield United's consolation goal. Fleck and Doyle. I mean, what a goal. What a goal. What a finish. What a finish. And for the last goal of the game, here's Martin Halil on loan from Brentford, I believe. Here's Barnes, Brownhill whips it. What a hit, son. Post and in. What a hit. And that wraps up the goals, but that also wraps up this video. Now, if you are excited for FM23, make sure you are subscribed to this channel because we will have a lot of FM23 content. But also check out the other content creators that have created some early access videos. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. RVD. I'm not the only one, so make sure you go and check out the playlist. There are 9 other content creators, I believe, recording videos on this FM23 early access. But also, this is the alpha version. I must stress that. This is an alpha version. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe. God bless. Out here.